High on Life is a comedic first-person shooter made by Justin Roiland, one of the co-creators of Rick and Morty, and developed by Squanch Games. Having been a huge fan of Rick and Morty when I was 15, I had this game on my radar. With this game having been released on December 13th, 2022, I've spent a little over 2 years avoiding any real information on it so I could go in fresh. All I knew was this game heavily resembled Rick and Morty, which everything Justin Roiland does is basically Rick and Morty,
Don't make another red goobler. He probably already forgot about you anyway. Gooblers are dumb. I'm gonna mill you?
Oh my god, I think he means kill.
and that this game had a talking gun.
The fuck? You just paused the game. This doesn't help at all. Are you an idiot? Fuck.
This game, I think, falls perfectly into the once again rising AA game space. Games that don't blow the player away with cutting edge graphics or deep gameplay mechanics, but games that are for better and for worse unapologetically games. Games that you play because they are just fun, and that's the most important part of a video game. Stuff like SpongeBob the Cosmic Shake or RoboCop Rogue City, for examples. The game starts off as the player assuming the role of this seemingly lazy, unmotivated teenage boy, and his sister getting the house to themselves as the parents are out of town.
Place to ourselves now. Oh my god, don't give me that look, nerd.
Shortly after, the neighborhood gets invaded by aliens, known as the G3 Cartel. During this encounter, you pick up a talking gun. This is not a gun though, this is a living creature known as a Gatlian. You find out the alien cartel is here to harvest humans into drugs, and your only option is to escape to space.
Into space?
Yeah, welcome to fucking space.
Here, you team up with a world-famous bounty hunter and slowly take down the G3 cartel and its leaders one by one in a John Wick-style revenge mission. The premise for the story is one that's simple but works. Of course, throughout the story, you'll be hit with plenty of jokes and Rick and Morty-style improv comedy writing.
Tough guy, hey, look, walk wherever you want. This is a fucking Mac and Cheese Brothers construction site. We ain't done here, but you gotta be careful. Oh, bro, you just killed my fucking brother, Joey Mac and Cheese Brother. Holy shit, dude.
Mainly from your Gatlian companions you find along the way. One of them at times sounding straight up like Morty. One of the concerns going into the game was that the constant dialogue from the guns was going to get annoying and annoying fast. While the guns at times definitely can be annoying, overall I found their commentary to the happenings of the story and the actions of the player to be rather funny and enjoyable.
Oh, don't I look so shootable? Look at me. Ah, you shot me, I'm dead.
All right there, are you happy now? Well, I didn't think we'd be allowed to kill him. Normally, killing children in games isn't allowed, but he's dead. We killed this kid. Are you happy now? We killed a kid. A kid is dead now. There goes our E for everybody rating.
Although sometimes they would keep saying the exact same line over and over during combat, or tell you how to solve a puzzle before you even have time to pull out the right tool.
I can help with this. Hey, nice work,
Thankfully, the developers knew it may be too much for some of the players, so there is a slider in the settings for how much the guns talk outside of main story objectives. As for the writing itself, I'll say this. If you are a fan of Justin Roiland's comedy, which is not hard to find out because the dude really does do the same thing every time, you'll probably have a really fun time with this game. Not every joke was a hit. In fact, I thought some of the jokes flat out stunk. But for the most part, I'd say this is the most I physically laughed out loud while playing a single player game since South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Prince Chosen One, that's him. Prince.
This is the chosen one?
And what the hell do you want?
Jeez, we just saved you? Maybe you could be a little grateful?
Saved me.
If you're a fan of his comedy, there's lots of laughs to be had, and of course some downright weird and twisted stuff. If you're not a fan of his other work, then I would not waste your time with this game. Outside of the jokes and writing, this game is pretty mid, as the folks on the internet say nowadays. Visually, the game is nothing amazing, but its colorful cartoon art style helps make up for that a tad bit. It reminds me of the Outer Worlds graphics and art style, where it's not an outright eyesore, but still isn't aesthetically pleasing on the eyes. I found that to be especially true with the jungle level, I personally found this whole level to just be ugly and unpleasant to explore and make my way through. The gameplay loop here is you choose your bounty and then face a mixture of gunfights and platforming. The platforming early on does not feel good and like you're going to miss every jump you make, but as you progress and unlock new abilities, the platforming becomes, in my opinion, a highlight of the game. I cannot say the same for the gunplay though. The gunplay has a similar flow to Doom 2016, throwing non-stop enemies at you while you sprint around and dodge while spinning through your arsenal of weapons on the fly. It's far from bad, but it's nothing worth experiencing on its own, or something that will drive the player to keep playing. It gets better and more fast-paced the more Gatlians you save, but nothing special, at times even feeling outdated. Every once in a while the game will switch up the loop and have you doing something completely different. Like in one level, you're playing a detective interrogating people for information.
What? Why do you care? If you must know, I ate 15 whole sandwiches, and yes, I regret it. I don't know why I ate that many.
This can help not make the game feel repetitive, and these sections can have some of the best jokes the game has to offer. Unfortunately though, if you're not a fan of the writing, these sections will probably come off as long and unnecessarily frustrating for the player. Even I found some of these moments to drag a little too long and not land the joke. Speaking of Gatlians, there are 5 guns and 1 knife, each one coming with its own personality and special ability, some of them being rather creative and out there.
Oh, hey, we're locked in, but that's fine. Don't freak out or anything. I can give birth to a bunch of little freaks and they can disable the door lock. It's fine.
They really are going to be the highlight or absolute worst thing in the game depending on your fondness for the dialogue. The different levels in this game are similar to that of Borderlands in that it's not open world, but it's also not linear. It's open level. You have 3 main places to explore, and with them opening more as you unlock new guns and upgrades. The reward for going back to previously explored areas is you get to get at loot you previously couldn't get at before. Metroidvania elements, if you will. The problem is that often the loot isn't worth your time going back to get, and I found most of the areas and levels not fun to explore or look around, most of them being rather bland and unimaginative. You could get a collectible, but I don't really care, and I never really found myself needing the money for upgrades, as I was going through the game fine without them. I played on normal difficulty, and found the game to be a breeze in the park. Of course I'm not looking for a Dark Souls level challenge from this game, but the point is, since the game isn't hard, the upgrades and weapon mods are not enough incentive to go explore extra. Maybe on the higher difficulty, you would be feeling more pressure to pursue these lug loxes. One thing that is fun to explore is the warp discs. Warp discs are used to unlock a little bonus area to explore. They rip a random section of space and time based on coordinates and spawns it right in front of you. It's very much something you'd see on a Rick and Morty improv episode like Interdimensional Cable.
I always wondered how Plumbuses got made.
These are highly worth checking out and a real reason to explore a bit more beyond the main story.
You'll have the time of your... Oh, fantastic. You've decided to take a... Oh, my God. Oh, no. Oh, no, you just crossed our hospital. Yeah.
Overall, the game took me about 10 to 12 hours to beat, so it's not a game that'll overstay its welcome. One of those games you can blast through on a weekend off. It's decently paced, some sections overstay their welcome, but for the most part, it's not too bad, like some other games these days. I know the game should be fairly easy to access for cheap, and was made for PS Plus Free Game of the Month for the month of February. I'd highly recommend anyone who may be on the fence about this game to check it out, as it's quite the fun little adventure.